Welcome everyone to BPW Goes Digital. The topic for today is Cybersecurity, Part 3. It's online security basis. The, the speaker for today is Alexandra Simonova from BPW Grand Cayman, and she was the young rep for BPW Grand Cayman from 2014 to 2020. And also she was elected as second vice president of BPW Grand Cayman this year. She has a master's degree in software engineering and is about to finish her PhD in information assurance and security. She is a certified information systems security personnel and also a certified information privacy manager. She has around 14 years of experience in IT and security management. So with this, I would like to welcome our speaker, Alexandra Simonova, to give us information more about online security bases. The floor is all yours, Alexandra.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the BPW Cybersecurity series. My name is Alexandra Simonova, and today we will cover part 3 of the cybersecurity series, which is online security basics. Just as a quick reminder, we covered security and collaboration technology as part 1 and mobile device security as part 2. You're welcome to go back and watch those videos as well. And as previously, I will start with the discussion of the cybersecurity basics and cyber threats, especially as those relate to online security. And then we'll go deeper in the discussion of what online security threats look like and what can we do to mitigate those. Hope you enjoy. So thinking of the online security, let's start with asking the right questions to understand what we are talking about. First one is who might attack using the vulnerabilities in online security, who might use those channels and why. So people who might use those fall into the several broad categories. Generally, we can call them cyber criminals as they will present criminal behavior, but there are also specific groups within those that could be noted. Some of them are hacktivists. Hacktivists are those who are agenda-driven, especially political agenda-driven, and they really like being online and making statements online. Second one, nation states. Those are the most difficult to protect against, as they also would have the most of the advantage when it comes to the resources and the ability to perform cyber attacks. Then we also have insiders. Unfortunately, insiders are still a category that is very common when we talk about the cyber threats and cybercrime. And that could be insiders within our organizations or within our clubs, or people who may have gotten access through our members. For instance, having the attack and infiltrating through the legitimate member account if the account was hacked. And last category is the skilled individual hackers. And those are largely opportunistic hackers that just go after everyone because they like doing it, or they build their reputation based on that. But some of them may also be motivated by their specific gain. So what does motivate them? First item that we see a lot, especially in the human rights organizations and nonprofits, are political agenda. So attackers could go after their information, after their website, after their credentials, and their social networks and online credentials, just basically motivated by the political agenda and trying to cause havoc, disruption, and reputational damage to us. Some of them can also be after theft of intellectual property, as well as the theft of their personal data. And unfortunately, some of them will go after financial fraud as well. trying to perform their attacks and steal some money. The worst part of all of that is the threat to health and safety that could happen because some of the information that was supposed to be confidential was exposed, or someone was specifically targeted. So what tactics might those attackers use? They can use social engineering, still one of the most common. Basically, social engineering is the type of attack that, although it leverages the technology, it's targeting human behavior, and it's targeting the uncertainty, it's targeting the fear, and it's targeting sense of urgency, and exploiting known human characteristics in order to get access to the passwords, credentials, and other information that would allow to perform a cyber attack. On the technology side, cyber criminals may use the vulnerabilities that are inherent to online technologies, as well as third-party compromise. For instance, if we are using third-party payment gateways or integrated with the third-party collaboration tools, then the security vulnerabilities in those third-party services could be exploited. And there are also more sophisticated attacks, such as multi-channel attacks that could be performed and will need to be defended against in the several levels. There are three main pillars that we will discuss in regards to their protection against the cyber attacks. They're secure, vigilant, and resilient. This is Deloitte terminology. I work for Deloitte, but Deloitte is not affiliated with BPW. It's just during this presentation there will be some material and terminology that would be leveraged. Our first pillar is being secure, and that's basically protecting your online platforms, services, your data against known threats. So that's having the normal security, for instance, having the secure connection enabled on the online services, and having the data protection, data privacy controls available, and having identity management and user access set up properly. Then there could be attacks that may come from the unknown sources and unknown threats. So it's important to stay vigilant and to be aware of the evolving scenarios. For instance, if you know that there are potential attacks that are targeting specific type of organizations, that hackers are targeting, for instance, human rights organizations for this and that, and what tactics they may employ. So having that understanding and awareness is important. Also, it's important to be vigilant and be able to recognize social engineering and phishing attacks and spam and so forth. And last pillar is being resilient. So if we were attacked, how do we recover quickly? How do we minimize that impact? And what can we do? How we report that to the owners of the online platform, to the third-party vendors, and basically how we respond the best. So looking at the known threats, being secure, looking at the unknown threats and having situational awareness and identifying harmful behavior, being vigilant, and being prepared, being ready, and having the ability to recover, being resilient. So let's look how it relates specifically to the online security and what are the basics of online security that we should be aware of. So let's start with the good online security practices. It's good online practices and generally good security practices is like practicing good hygiene. With the pandemic now, we all know that we need to adhere to social distancing, we need to wash our hands, we need to wear masks, so simple steps we need to follow. Security is just another type of crisis, really. So it could be seen in the same way. There are steps that we need to follow to protect ourselves. So looking at the good online security hygiene, first one is having that protective layer of antivirus software. So making sure that your devices, your computers have antiviruses available so that you can protect against known virus and as well as those that become available. And making sure that your antivirus software is updated regularly so that the platforms will monitor for emergent threats as well. Second, again, just adding another layer of protection using a firewall. There are organization level firewalls that are available by many organizations, but there are also personal firewalls available on personal computers. And those may be able to prevent some type of attacks because they can block malicious traffic before it enters your computer. Third one, again, good security hygiene using strong passwords. A strong password is an interesting animal by itself. Password should be strong enough and complex enough to prevent the attackers of first guessing it and second brute forcing it. So if you have a password that is just a common English word, that will be very easy for the attackers to guess, either through social engineering and collect information about you, or also by using what is called dictionary attacks, so just running known words. Another issue is if the password is too short, then even if it has a lot of different characters, attackers still can use what's called brute force attack, basically put very good machine with a lot of resources and trying to generate all the different combinations and try to attack it. So the longer the password is, the better. And also, that needs to be balanced now with the overall complexity. So don't choose the passwords that you won't be able to remember, especially for the critical online services, because that will force you to write it down or to make your computer to remember that, and that would decrease the security. So don't choose the options that would allow computers to remember your passwords, and don't write your passwords down. And we talked a bit about having your mobile devices and having your apps up to date, similar with the software on your computers. Making sure that if you're using the software and it has patches, that those patches are first tested and then installed to make sure that you protect against known vulnerabilities. And the last item is generally be vigilant and use caution. So when you use email or when you use email browsers or any other online services, make sure that you think before you click on the links from unknown sources, that you check for the information that was not solicited and you didn't expect it. So don't be aware that the attacks may be performed against you as an individual and you as a club member, and just being generally suspicious that something may, if it doesn't look right, chances are it may not be right. So now looking a bit more on the technical side of things, a couple of tips to look for when you're online. So the most common one is looking for the secure connection. So make sure that the website begins with HTTPS, not just HTTP. That S in the end, that small s, will show that that's a more secure connection. And that may help you to protect your members' username, to protect your password, to protect your financial information such as credit card numbers and account numbers and so forth. Because that basically means that the information is going through the encrypted channel. Another thing to look at is that padlock icon that will be in the lower right corner of the browser, again, showing that that's should be a secure connection. Now, the last thing is that what that secure connection means is that the website presents a certificate of authenticity, that basically that website is legitimate and that secure connection is legitimate. Why is this important? Is sometimes we, after we checked for the first two items, we're thinking, okay, it's HTTPS, that's good. It has this log, okay, that must be secure. Not always. Having an invalid or expired certificate will still be an issue, and that may still indicate that the attack may take place. So understanding those certificates are important. Generally, the good certificate or certificate in good standing would mean that it's issued by a trusted authority. And some browsers are clever as well, so they would actually present a dialog box that would suggest that there is an error in certificate, and that if you see that error, trust your browser to do a good job and be suspicious of it, and don't submit personal information. If you still think that the website is fine, maybe contact those behind it and let them know that there is an error so that they have a chance to remediate that as well. And generally, if you want to check all the details about the certificate, the things to check for will be who issued the certificate, whether it's a legitimate company, whether it's the company that you expected to based on the website. Also, who the certificate was issued to and the expiration date. Some certificates may have expired, and again, just be vigilant and be more suspicious of organizations if the certificates are outdated for more than a couple of years or they expired. So just to recap, secure connection is good. Looking for S for secure, looking for the padlock, and looking for the certificate in good standing and no error messages from the browsers. Now, we also work from home now. While we work from home, a lot of us also have kids with us. So kids have some specific risks when it comes to the security. And it's very important to make sure that they are safe, but also that your information is safe when they're using it. And in addition to that, there are a lot of programs that BPW does that involve kids. So again, having the education and awareness component of kids using our online platforms or collaborating with us online, and also helping them to be secure online is important. So we added a couple of tips to help with that. First one, be involved in what they do. Just supervise the activities that they have, and just consider doing it together. That will allow you to be more involved in what they're doing, but also will allow you to teach them the security basics. Second, monitor activity. So if your computer is in the area with high traffic, you will need to monitor the activity, and just be aware of what websites children may be using, as it's not because you want to control them, it's because you want them to be secure. And children are specifically targeted in a number of attacks because they may be less aware. Secondly, there are a number of attacks that specifically want children to be involved, unfortunately. Set the rules and really warn them about dangers. Have a fair discussion with them, explain to them that with the programs that we are working with them together, or if there's your children at home, explain why it is important to be secure and what they're allowed and not allowed to do, what websites and online services are safe for them to use, which are questionable, which they are not allowed to use and why. And again, if you're monitoring their activity, explain to them that you are going to do that so that they are aware of that. That brings us to the next point. Keep lines of communication open and make sure that they can ask the questions, and also on that vigilant and resilient component. It's very important to have an open communication, and that goes with your children, with the club members. If something happens and if someone is attacked or someone has clicked on the phishing email, their main thing is to be aware of that. It's better for your child to raise it. They need to know that they will not be punished for clicking because they actually did a good job telling you that they did that, because that will allow you to prevent that attack before it escalates further. And from the general security perspective, when we work on the programs or we work with children at home, the safest way is to have separate accounts, and also limiting the functionality of the accounts that children have access to be able to protect them. And last item that we added to the series about the online security is the shopping online. It becomes really essential now that we all work from home and a lot of services are done from home, and we shop online, we organize the fundraisers online, we organize most of our life online. So it's very important for us to do business with the reputable vendors when we do that, and still be mindful of the security. And use the software security settings, so having the passwords and everything that the parties that we work on allow us to use. Check the privacy policies, very important, since again, let's think of this scenario when we organize a fundraiser. We need to be very aware of the privacy policies that the sites that organize the events or help us with the logistic use, to make sure that we protect the privacy and the personal data of our members. We also need to be very careful with the information that we share and the information that we store, and we need to keep the information as confidential as possible, and also avoiding sharing the information about us as individuals and about our members in public forums. And we talked about general security before, and using that antivirus software firewall will really just help you when you shop online and when you do the business with vendors online, to protect from that, as if those third parties have been compromised, that could be flagged by antivirus or firewall. And generally just be aware of your activity online. And also when we use the financial systems, and BW Digital had a great presentation on their financial systems and the other online services that could be used. So make sure that when you use those systems, you follow all the suggested security settings that they have, and you check your activity regularly while using them as well. So thank you for your time today as well. It was a pleasure to present that, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you.
Great thanks to our presenter, Alexandra Simonova, who is a director at Deloitte and a vice president in BPW Grand Cayman, as well as obviously a cybersecurity expert. We thank you, Alexandra, for sharing your knowledge with us once again in this part 3 of our 4-part series on cybersecurity. In this one, Alexandra talked to us quite a lot about online security, the basics of online security, particularly to everything that you do on your computer or your laptop. The previous part 2, we talked about mobile security, and part 1 talked about collaboration technologies. We have part 4 coming soon. So we hope that you will take a look at all 4 parts, because together, this is a very comprehensive view of cybersecurity from one of our members who is an expert in this area. So thanks again, Alexandra. And we thank you, the viewer, for coming to one of our tutorials here. We hope that you're looking at the other tutorials here, and certainly the 4-part series on cybersecurity, but there are many others here on this channel. We also invite you to join one of our live webinars. We have 2 or even sometimes 3 per month, and you'll find more information at the link below. So we hope to see you very soon. Bye for now.